before we get this race started?
Yep, summit and add a line.
Nice. So, in case people don't know how double elimination works, why don't we go ahead and mention that real quick?
Essentially, everyone has 2 lives. They have to. Each race here, they can't lose more than 2 of any of the races. If you lose 2,
You're done.
You're out of the bracket. You're out of the tournament entirely. And something special about specifically Celeste here is we go by in-game time because we have these in-game timers in the game. That was kind of cyclical,
Yep.
but you get what I'm saying. Instead of using real time, we're using in-game time. So it doesn't matter so much that loudur had the late start or anything like that. And even though we have the prologue here, we're going to have a bit of an offset in timers because of cutscenes and what people are doing.
Loading times.
Yeah, loading times. Yeah, Switch is actually slower loading screen, has longer loading screens than the PC. So that's going to also come into factors of difference in RTA.
Well, and with that short ramble, we are underway. We're already through the prologue into the chapter 1 into City. And, I think most people by now have heard about the mechanics of the game. But for those who forgot, or were just lazy, I don't know, or tune in for the first time, obviously. There's a bunch of dash mechanics that involve jumping out of your dash in order to maintain momentum. One with a normal jump, normal dash and jump, and the other with diagonal down and jump. And they each have their uses and disadvantages and so on. And of course you can also do the same trick while dashing along a wall, which we like to call wall bounce. And you'll see that a lot in this chapter, as this chapter's almost done actually.
Yeah, it's a short enough chapter, but you do have, you definitely have some places where you can make up the time. Gig's now on that final screen, and loudur just a little bit behind. So yeah, anything that you do outside of the stage, such as the menu navigation that Gix did, does not affect your time. So you're allowed to do that in between stages and still be in the lead. So.
Yep. You can take a very short break in between chapters if you want, but it's advised to just keep running, because the run isn't that long that we need extensive bathroom breaks and such. But still, it's nice.
Yeah. So moving into the old site here, Chapter 2. Gonna do a cutscene skip glitch that, or like really exploit, if anything, not really a glitch, of your character moves along the X position but not the Y position. So you can, during that cutscene skip, you spawn inside the block because your X position gets moved a bit to the right. So now you end up inside what are known as these dream blocks, where you can dash through them, and it restores your dash once you get out of them.
Yep. And you might hear the name Dream Block. Does that mean that we're in a dream? Maybe.
Maybe spoilers.
Spoilers.
That's for the story. You gotta, if you want the full story of this game, you gotta play it yourself.
Yep. We're skipping all the good stuff.
We're skipping all the good stuff, although you will get the ending, unfortunately.
Well, I think the ending is the easiest part to guess of the story.
True.
But not quite. Anyway.
Loudur with a bit of a mess up there, not getting the springboard, so that's putting him a bit further behind now.
Yeah, and Gig here finishing up the bad line chase sequence, where there's these illusions of yourself. Or are they? They're just following you around on a like 2 to 3 second delay. So if you backtrack a lot or you're too slow, they will catch up to you, but these runners are not slow at all, so.
I believe the first one's a 3-second delay, but all the other clones behind it are a 1-second delay after that one.
Yeah. Up to 6 clones or something. Dumb. Into the infamous awake section here.
Yes, momentum is a key factor of this run in general, and it becomes very obvious in an area like this where we have a bunch of walls and corners in our way. And so bumping into any of them completely destroys any momentum that you've built up. There is no cap to momentum. So you can just keep flying if you can keep building it. But if you hit something, it just... stop.
So if you're frame perfect for over 20 seconds, then go try the strat. Otherwise, if you're just a mortal being like us, do a normal strat.
Alright, so now moving into the can't pronounce L's today, Celestial Resort. We are in a hotel, and we got dust bunnies that we have to avoid. They move around in cycles, and you don't want to hit them. They have the same cycle when you enter a room, different cycle when you die.
Yep.
But it's always the same.
It's around half a cycle difference.
2 different cycles there.
Yeah. Like, don't quote me on it, but it's around half a cycle. So you could technically wait a bit, technically speaking, but especially in long rooms, the dust bunnies only start their cycle when they are on screen. So every cycle will then be delayed by half a cycle, and that's still annoying.
And I will just question in chat, Hockey, yes, this is the first match of the round 64. It's so exciting. We got the first bracket match. If you want to see that bracket, you got the command, exclamation point Celeste. You can pull up all the links that you need.
Moving in this mess of a room, we like to call the huge mess very intuitive, actually. Oh, slight bonk on a couple of books there, but since we're so nice, we're gonna just clean up this mess for Mr. Oshiro, the hotel owner. And we do that by moving into 3 branching paths that each lead to a button, which will clear out one of the 3 objects in the room. And the neat part of it is that it also removes objects in the paths themselves, so there's always a difficulty increase as you move through this section.
Yes, and Gix just performed a spike jump. The spikes, hitboxes don't exist if you are moving away from the wall that the spikes are on. So you're able to do a little trick like that where you are just consistently moving to the left during a wall jump. Oh right, yeah, I forgot about that. We might have to get the mods aware of that so that we can switch around the links.
Yep.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, the other bracket is not up to date yet, so people might think that we have different matchups or that everything has messed up. So once again, the bracket link is challenge.com/CelesteTop64. And we'll be using that throughout the entire bracket. We see a slight difference in, well, a lead you might say. See Gix here finishing up the section while Loudur is at this second button of the 3. Dude, did you see this shaft though? I think the elevator fell. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but we're able to wall jump off and get up there.
Oh! That retry by Gix. Actually, there's a cutscene here, but it only starts when you hit the floor, and then you can skip it. So he tried to skip the cutscene, but it retried since there was no cutscene yet. And he missed the key. Maybe a little bit tournament nerves showing here.
Yeah, so you have to do an intentional death so that you come back to the beginning of the room. You keep the key upon death, so you can just warp to the beginning and have the key when you need it.
Yeah, but it requires grabbing the key, of course.
Yes, of course, you need to actually have the key in order to keep the key.
And now we've kind of messed up with English, because Oshiro's mad because we insulted his hotel and his good life.
Yeah, we left the hotel, and then we said we don't want to stay here, stick in a hotel. And then...
It's full of garbage.
It's full of garbage. So much... yeah, we're brutal sometimes, and so Sheer gets really mad, charges at us. So now he's on set intervals charging at us, with a warning with a lightning bolt as well to tell us when he's going to charge across the screen.
Yep. And after the lightning bolt, his Y position is locked, so you can avoid him.
You can also bop his head for little Goomba stomps.
Let's see if Gix makes it through this very long room on the first try. Easy every time. And to the question on how these players did in their respective groups, Gix placed second with a record of 5-1-1, while Loudur placed third in, obviously, because it's second against third seed, with a 5-2-0. But they are from different groups, of course.
Yes, that is required. This was the way this bracket was figured out, and it was figured out by Ben Teasy on stream. There's a VOD of it if you want to go find it on his Twitch. If you want to go find it. Basically, the rules are that they figured it out randomly, but then if they didn't want any two players from the same group within the same quadrant. So like every 4 players had to be a different group, basically.
Yeah, that was really well done. And it went smoother than he expected, actually.
Yeah, it went really fast. I think the stream was like less than an hour, and he expected it to take longer. Doesn't matter too much, as we are now here in this bracket stage, and we have Gix messing up on this auto scroller skip in Golden Ridge here. Is that Okay, it's recoverable, but it doesn't do anything. Yeah, there it is.
Save.
Good save. Yeah, so he did end up losing time by having to do that save, but it still allowed him to not have to die and do it all over again.
That was really close. So you can do that skip by using the momentum from the block to push you forward and then do a hyper dash and then jump on the floor while keeping your head really low, so you have to hold down the entire time to make that gap. Otherwise you bonk your head, which was what he did in the first attempt. But it saves the time of the block having to move all the way, which you still have to do in the second auto scroller, unless you're a robot. Alright, Gix is not a robot confirmed. And now Loudur doing a slightly slower but easier variant of this auto scroller skip. As we move into the cliff face section with a lot of wind. But good thing we have these dash mechanics to ignore the wind mostly and just go really fast.
The main unfortunate part of the wind is it actually messes quite a bit with the bit rate, as you can tell by
streams.
You can tell by Gix's stream right now that it is dropped in quality significantly, unfortunately.
Yeah. He's still moving. I can see.
Yeah, I can still make out his character. You got very bright colors for your character, so it's not too hard to figure out where they are. But it certainly does drop the quality of the stream, unfortunately.
Finishes
but able to get
with
through it very well.
3:17 here.
Solid time.
Yeah, especially considering the auto scroller skip deaths. Oh, that strat is so cool on louder screen. I feel like the only screen with wind on cycles which if you consider the weather implications, that's really annoying, but it's a nice mechanic.
And so now Gix has entered the Mirror Temple. So we have these red bubbles, which are similar to the bubbles that we had in the last chapter that you've seen Loudur still using, except they will keep going until they hit a wall or you dash out of them. So they do not have a limited distance, they just keep going. I also have some dash blocks that move when you dash. And then
contrast to these green bubbles here from the previous chapter. So does he go for the swag strat? The answer is
nope.
Not quite, but it's still looking really clean.
Yes. You can use these the momentum that the dash blocks would give you very much to your advantage and make yourself go flying in certain screens. But sometimes it can be difficult.
There.
Yeah, there's the intended shortcut. And sometimes you need to maintain momentum while also avoiding obstacles so that, yet again, you don't hit any walls or maintain your momentum through other methods such as corner boosting so that you can keep it going on to the next screens and hold it.
Yep. But, we're gonna meet a new friend here. Very friendly friend. All he wants is a hug.
I mean, he gets one. He gets one hug.
Yeah. One solid hug. So yeah, speaking of story relevance, we're skipping all of that.
Oh! Okay,
now that's a new one.
Yeah, trying to hit the button while leaving the bubble and then ended up dying from not realizing it. Didn't hit it on dashing out of the bubble the second time either, but was able to survive.
So into unraveling, we have these friends, the Seekers, which will home on into your X and Y position and then charge at you. So they might look random, but they're entirely dependent on your position.
That's another important part about these Seekers is that they will pick up any coins that they would knock into. That are in their path, rather, so they can pick up the coins for you to unlock these screens here, and then they also charge into these red blocks to destroy them, and they have a cooldown spot when you bop them, and then they send out a shockwave that also will trigger any coins or red blocks in its area.
That was way too close. Gix almost died at the very end of a long room, which is the worst place to die, because every room is basically its own checkpoint. So you dying at the end of a long room makes you have to
very smooth search skip by Gix there.
Oh yeah, right, search skip.
Gets it done on the first try.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to do those 2 minutes of collecting keys anyway. Might as well skip it. Wait,
for a second, it didn't look like that coin was gonna get collected, but Seeker gets it at the last second.
Ooh, Ultras at Theo. So Ultra dashes are when you cancel a dash, hyper dash into another one, and then you gain a bunch of momentum. As you saw right there, you can actually use that together with Theo is trapped in a crystal here to just zoom across screens.
Right. So grabbing Theo, you're not able to dash while holding Theo, and you also have restricted movement. But any momentum that you have when picking up Theo is maintained, so you're able to fly across the screen just like that with the dash block.
Yep. Pick him up midair. Continue on with your life. It's been a while since I've seen the upper route.
Yeah, that was something I haven't seen in a long time either. But that was the final screen, and now Gix is just on this long hallway as with these bunch of shockwaves, and then it throw Theo into the eyeball.
446 is nice. It's really good. So he seems to have shaken off the nerves from the earlier chapters.
Loudur able to get first try search skip as well.
Narrowly avoids the Seeker. And into chapter 6 for Gigs. Wow, that... okay. Unintentional poetry. There are these feathers. They are omnidirectional, so D-pad is actually inferior for once. But other than that, they're not that... They can be annoying to use, but other than that, it's fine. Opts to not go for Lake Skip, so Lake Skip skip loses you 4 seconds.
Yes, but ended up having to... that was very... cutting it very close to the spike wall there with the Kevin block, so that was a very smooth reaction to be able to survive through that.
Okay.
Loudur, about halfway through this Theo section. And yeah, we got these Kevin blocks here, which I referred to earlier. And you dash into them, and they will move in the direction that you dashed them on. And make a very nice noise, provided by one of the creators of the game, known as Kevin. Which is why we call them that.
Oh, right. That's a good point. Since Gigs is on Switch, he doesn't have the update which makes wall bounces easier and does Lake Skip doable.
That would be why he doesn't do Lake Skip then.
Yeah. That's a very good point. So technically speaking, he could do menu storage?
He could, but it's actually not allowed in this tournament. That has been completely decided that menu storage is not allowed.
Yeah, in case you wanted to run on console.
Yes, it's one of the newer strategies that's been found that is completely a glitch, and this is basically, this tournament has been decided to be essentially a glitchless tournament. So
yeah, the category.
That's what everyone. That's what everyone kind of came into this thinking. Like, oh, this is such a great game because there's no glitches involved. Really, it's just what the game intends. Yeah. And then we find a glitch that actually saves time. So now we have kind of a glitchless versus glitched runs.
Yep. Well, on PC, it's actually patched out. Hence why the current category is called Current Patch. And there's a category for the glitches which you can use, which is Any Patch. So you can down patch to still use these exploits to your heart's content. Moving into Reflection. We're actually almost done with the subsection called Reflection.
Yeah, so we got these little shortcuts here. Oh! So you have to go through these developer-intended shortcuts here, where there are 3 holes. You can actually get to a checkpoint after the second one, but it would lose some time, so you just go through all 3 of them and try not to die. And then if you do die, you actually get sent up to the first hole again, which is a bit unfortunate.
And here, one of the cooler momentum tricks in the game, the battle line boost. Since this Kevin block goes so fast and you can jump off it twice, you go real quick and just zoom away to the boss fight. And then hit the spike twice, because why not? And that's actually, yeah, since he's on Switch, he could actually crash there if he dies during the cutscene. But thankfully he didn't, he skipped it in time, so he's fine. So the battle line fight is where this evil side of yourself has finally decided to start fighting. And now we're just gonna slap it in the face a few times. And each room has a set attack pattern, which you can practice or memorize too, if you want. but it's usually a combination of lasers and fireballs. Of course, with some general movement that you need to do to avoid spikes and hazards. So it's an extra layer of movement in quite a nice section, especially due to the music. I didn't see any hey-yas in chat. Come on now.
You do not need the emote to participate, you can simply just write it out.
Yeah, we'll get to it when Louder enters the fight. Speaking of which, he's still keeping really good pace. Like a minute or two behind if I go off their in-game, like their IL timers.
I don't know. Did you talk about the battle line boost when Gix did it?
Yep.
Okay, so we got Louder here. It doesn't look like he's setting up for it as much. It was at the front of the block, so didn't get as much momentum. You can actually, the way it works is you're actually getting momentum from the Kevin block twice,
Yep.
from landing on it 2 times. So if you're at the start, all the way to the right, you're only going to get 1 amount of momentum from it.
Ooh. Geeks dying at the very... No, not even the very end there, but... This is another long room. As the end of such sequences are usually paired with long rooms as sort of a final test. As Geeks is moving into the final room here. And there we go. Completed the fight, and he will now get a reward, RPG style. We will level up. So what happens when you level up in Celeste? You get an extra dash. So our hair is now pink, because sometimes it's just good to change your hair color, you know what I'm saying? And that means we can dash twice.
Yeah, so it's indicated by our hair colors. That was a mechanic throughout the whole game, but it really didn't factor into the game too much until we had more than 1 dash. So pink indicates you have 2, red is 1 dash left, blue is 0.
Yep. And on to Summit. And now if you followed along with this story a little bit, then you know that during chapter 6 we actually fall down all the way to below the base of the mountain into what is called Reflection. So with our newfound second dash and our spirits high, it is time to reclimb the mountain once again. So this chapter is basically a final exam of sorts where you will go through the mechanics from each and every chapter once more until you reach the top.
Right, and Louder now on the second half of the battle line fight as well.
Yeah,
So
then
Gix,
the hey-yas get a bit weird.
the silent hey-yas, so to speak, right now. And
yeah.
also they're glitched. Right, that is what you were referring to. But yeah, so Gix has now gotten out of the 0 meter section and now in the 500 meter section, which is pays a little homage to the chapter 1 here, the Lost City. I don't remember names.
Yeah, they've forsaken it.
Forsaken City. I still don't know names. Who knows?
And you might have noticed that there are not a lot of platforms here, because we have 2 dashes, so there's not a lot of wiggle room in order to make it to the end. But there's still a bunch of strats that are much faster than what the developers might have seen as the intended way to do such rooms. Not sure if they're intended. The devs are so amazing, they have like intentions for normal players, quote unquote normal, and speedrunners, so who knows.
Yeah, this game was designed from the ground up with speedrunners in mind. So it's a wonder why it has become so popular among speedrunners.
And Louder finish it up with Reflection. I do not know how what a Summit IL PB is like, because it could be hard for him to improve his time here, unless the Summit is exceptional, which is sub 10 minutes.
Right, so despite the large gap between Gix and Louder right now, there is still something to root for with Louder being potentially getting that PB. So keep in mind of the 36, I don't remember the seconds that were there, but it's a 36 minute something.
36, 37.
Okay. So that's something to watch for as well on Louder's side. Don't necessarily stop watching and just because of the gap.
Yep. And of course, if he loses the race, that does not mean he is out of the tournament yet. This is a double elimination bracket, so he has another life in the lower bracket.
Absolutely, and Gix moving through the 1500 meter section very smoothly. Just got through a screen there, which has been very notorious, being able to get through the cycles properly.
Yeah. This section is considered to be one of the hardest sections in the entire run, especially if you want to go fast, since there's a lot of cycle skips you can do that are really hard to do.
I usually just limit the saying to in this chapter. I don't want to necessarily.
Well, in the run, maybe not in the game, but in the run.
In the run, yeah.
In the game, then the B-sides will have something to say about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot more to this game than what we were just showing here. There's 175 strawberries to collect, and then 25 more golden strawberries as well as A-sides, which you're seeing throughout this run, and then there are B-sides, and then there are C-sides. So there's a lot more content to this game than what we're just showing you right now.
Died there on the auto-scroller skip here that you can do. If you extend your hyper to regain your dash midair, you can actually just clear the room without using the auto-scroller block.
And just ending it out with that wall bounce at the end.
Sub 30 during a tourney when? Maybe if we're playing assist percent, but that will be a sight to behold. I just like how we're not using any of the arrow blocks in this room except for the last one. Like, just ignore it. It's kind of weird. Louder now in 1500 meters as well. Judging from his IL time, he's still doing quite fine. And Gix now into one of the more technical but cool to watch parts of Summit. Just 2500. Bunch of cool momentum tricks you can do here. And another intentional death here with two very tight wall jumps.
And now we have Gix threading the needle, gets that first try, and now on to door skip.
Speaking of needle. Valid run.
Saves a full 1 second, opposed to the intended strat of that room.
Gets a haircut there. Still find it weird how Madeline's hitbox is actually without her hair entirely. So your head can go through spikes and nothing happens. And now into the final part. There will be no actual checkpoints here because the screens are way too long, but instead we have these flags counting us down from 30 to 0 as we approach the final part of this run.
There is no
to
flag.
give these players some energy. count down the numbers in chat if you want.
If you want. But we so starting it out on this section, we got the downdraft, which increases the gravity. You don't jump as high and you fall faster. So you got a lot of wall bounces going on, trying to gain as much vertical distance as we can, mostly through the wall bounces and upward dashing a lot. And a PB is very close to possible. Only just barely possible. So most likely not gonna happen. But it could.
Yeah. Need around 240 for the entire 3000 if you're good. And right now he has a little over a minute remaining. So that will be quite a feat.
Yeah, it's cutting it very close. I don't expect it to happen, really. And you can see Gix skipping a lot of flags here to save some time. You don't need to get all the flags, you simply just need to get to the top. Loudur in this 2500 meter section, about to... Alright, okay, so here we got on the key skip. As Gix now is at flag 10. Skipping flag 8. To flag 7, yeah. This is... So yeah, having to finish these last few flags in 21 seconds, this is not gonna happen, so... This will be a pretty solid victory for Gix, though.
Loudur missing door skip.
Going for it on the second try, though. Gets them the second try.
So we skip 3 doors. In his case. Gix still moving to a really nice time.
Yeah. Skipping over flag number 3 and this flag is possible to die on very easily, so if you mess up a little bit there. That was scary, kind of, at least for me. Having to retry flag 2 just because of misuses of some dashes there.
And Loudur now also in 3000. PB for him looking quite difficult, but possible.
Yeah, same idea as what we had with Gix coming into 3000 meters.
And that will do it for Gix, of course. He finishes with a 34.05. Still a really good time. And a nice showing from him. Had some nerves early on, it felt like, but he will still claim the victory and move to the round of 32. As of course Loudur still has to finish. Doesn't have to finish, but it's nice to see him finish. And look at his time. And it's worth to note, even though Loudur lost this bracket match, he's not out yet, because we do run a double elimination bracket here. So he will move to the lower bracket and face the loser of Revolution and DS Gamer. Which is not scheduled yet, I think. And speaking of a few unfortunate spots that I own, I like to call flag 14 and 13 the flags of ruin. Just made that name up. Since they are both quite long checkpoints, which moves along quite slowly since this updraft makes everything floaty. And dying at the very end of such a flag loses a bunch of times, so they can be run killers for sure. Especially when you have a bunch of nerfs due to being close to a new PB. So loudur just past this PB time, so PB is definitely not possible whatsoever. But he's still looking at a nice time in the 37-minute range, which is very respectable still. And it looks like we have Gix here almost ready to potentially join us for an interview. But since loudur is so close to the end, I think we'll wait for both to be half finished before we go to their opinions on their runs. Loudur's almost there, flag 2. And there we go, loudur has finished as well with a time of 37:42, so a whole minute behind his PB, but that is still a really nice time. Being a minute close to your PB is still very well done.
And then good death counts too for both players.
Yeah, 25 deaths and then having a 34 just shows the potential of Gix maybe even lowering the time. So let's see if one or both of the runners want to come in and join and give us some thoughts about their run.
I do see Gix here, ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready. Waiting on winning confirmation for loudur as well. We kind of want to see both of them. We want them to be able to hear each other's reactions right when it happens, so that we can get some good,
juicy reactions.
Juicy reaction and some good audio content for the for this interview. Okay, so we're just gonna have Gix coming in, so I'll bring him in now. Gix, I did it for you. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing alright.
Well, congratulations on getting the first win
Thank
of
you.
the bracket stage.
The very first victory.
Unfortunately, not able to get that. Sorry, I'll let you speak.
Oh, I was just memeing. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, not able to get that PB, but definitely a solid time for you.
Yeah, that run was going pretty well until reflection, I would say. Then it kind of fell apart. But I'm pretty happy with how I played.
It's very good to hear. So was there? So it was just reflections, really. That tripped you up fully on that.
Yeah, there were some other dumb deaths. Like, I don't know if you noticed in Resort, I retried before a cutscene and then retried before the key, right in a row.
Right, we did see
There were
that.
a few things like that, but overall, I think it went okay.
Yeah. You think that might be due to tournament nerves or just not feeling okay?
I'm not really sure. Usually I'm pretty safe about that type of thing, so I'm not sure what was going on.
Oh well. It's
Yeah,
good,
I'm just gonna
good
pull
to
up
have
the
that out
bracket.
of the way. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pull up the bracket here for a second. Let me see if I can find you in there. So, okay, so so you're now gonna be moving on to the second round of the upper bracket, and so your next match will be either against Revolucoin or Revolucion or DS Gamer 93. So I have a guess as to which one you'd rather face, but like, what are your thoughts going into that?
Well,
You know, like in either result, really.
If I were to make a prediction, I'd say I'm gonna face Revo since he's known for being a top runner, but really anything can happen. So we'll see. If I face Revo, I'm probably not making it out because he's like in the top 5. I'm not sure what DS Gamer's time is.
Well, he was the 4th seed of his group, so.
Oh, well, if he manages to beat Revo, then I guess I should be worried as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically that.
That is a good way to look at it, certainly.
So, if I were to guess, I'm gonna be moving into losers, but we'll see.
Well, I will wish you some good luck onto it. You did have a very good run here today.
Thank you.
Do you have any more things that you want to say?
Not really. I think that's about it.
Well, then I have something to say. Make sure to follow these runners and say hello to your nice, commentators and all that jazz, as we will have more of this tournament bracket coming up in the near future. Because especially in this round of 64, there's a week to complete all matches, so that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so yeah, you can pay attention to the whole schedule that we have. I'll post the schedule first, which is in the Celeste command. That one is correct, but the challenge link is currently incorrect. I will post it immediately after the speed gaming bot posts up its link. So yeah, you can find the challenge link as the one that I sent, and then you can find the schedule there. All the different matches that will happen as soon as the runners figure out what times are good for them. And Gex is having some fun with assist mode now.
Yeah, there's something interesting you can do with the cutscene. I don't know if it played on stream yet.
I've never seen this before, actually. I didn't know you could do this.
Okay.
Oh.
I don't know what you're gonna do.
She's walking to
watch the old lady.
Interesting.
Where? She's magic.
That explains how she made it up the mountain, I guess.
Yeah, it does. Alright, that's really good. I think that's a good way to end this.
Yeah. Good little find there. I had no idea of that. So, we do have another match today. There's actually going to be another Celeste race later today at 10. I believe if I get approved, I will be commentating that one as well.
At 10 in what time zone?
Oh, I'm wrong. It's at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. EDT.
Yeah. 8 p.m. EDT. It is 4 p.m. EDT right now, roughly, for reference. So that'll be about 4 hours from now. And that'll be between Nenshin and Flattervy on Speed Gaming 5. If you want to keep watching anything on Speed Gaming, there'll be... Right now, I believe there is a Link to the Past Randomizer daily race closing out on Speed Gaming 2. It might have already finished, I'm not sure. But there will be, of course, another randomizer on this channel at 5:30, and then a different randomizer between Super Metroid and a Link to the Past randomizer co-op. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but that sounds interesting enough. Going on in Speed Gaming 2 at 6 o'clock, and then a couple things going on at 7 o'clock. Mega Man 2 randomizer and a Mega Man X match race, and then at 8 is when that Celeste Any Percent, the second one of the brackets, Celeste Any Percent. So keep it locked. Keep paying attention to that schedule. I've been Troy of Athens. Thanks for watching.
I've been Blue Eye, and congratulations, Geeks, again for your victory on this race. And with that, we'll see you, as you said, at 8 p.m. EDT for the next Celeste race, and of course, during other races the whole week.